Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I painted this picture straight from my imagination. I hope you enjoy the video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did and hit the subscribe button, and thank you very much for watching. I was watching TV and doodling on a notepad, and I suddenly realized I might have a good painting in this little sketch. And this is what I'm going to do today. So here's today's palette for my landscape. It's water mixable oils. I have titanium white, cad yellow light, raw sienna, raw umber, French ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, phthalo blue, sap green, phthalo green, and alizarin crimson. That's more or less my usual palette. I don't often have cobalt blue or the phthalo colors, but they can help punch up a painting quite a lot, and I feel like being more colourful today. So I'm starting off with a mixture of cobalt blue and titanium white, not highly mixed, and I'm going to using a crisscross stroke. Whoops, there's a lump in there. Just put that all over actually, or for the most part anyway. Okay, so I'm going to add a dash or two of phthalo and maybe some French ultramarine just to give me some different blues poking through, maybe even a touch of sap green. And I'm mixing more titanium with that right on the canvas. And I'm going to use some raw sienna to give me a path. Might not see all of it. I'm going to run a horizon line. I think that's about it. I'm eyeballing it, but I'm going to say it's there. That's pretty good. I'm going to have a tree on the right hand side, which will keep your eye in the picture, and we won't see the whole tree, just part of it. So I'm just sort of going to suggest a tree. maybe some fuzzy greens down here too, on the edge of the path. I'm going to add more clouds. And I'm going to use my Dollar Tree makeup brush, and I'm just going to swirl those round. Just to make them look a little more cloud-like. I might have swept them out a little bit too much, but you can always add more. Just dot it on where you want it, and then swirl it around. I'm happy with that. Might put a bit more down here. And I'm going to have some boats. I think this is actually a lake, not the ocean. I'm going to have some boats just sitting. Do I want another red boat? I don't think so. I think that boat is actually white. And maybe this one has a white hull. What do you think? I think that's a little bit better. And we'll put another out there. That came out a bit red. I'm not too worried about the shape. I'm going to dry my brush off a little bit, just work on that shape a little bit. and let's say it's pretty still. So we'll, whoops, that's really bright. Okay, so what we do when we don't like something is take it out. If you can't live with something, just take it out. I need to put another one there. Mixing a bluish green, and I'm going to just put in a distant coast. It's not bluish enough. I want the distant coast to be bluish because distance sort of leaches the colour. There's a sort of veil between us and what we're perceiving. Maybe over this side too. Nothing too definite, just a suggestion. We're going to say that the water is kind of still. Drying off my brush a bit and drawing in that line a little more. Taking a flat, oh, it's a big flat, a small flat. I'm just going to pull it down slightly. It's just not quite there, sort of thing. My dog wants in. I'm going to attempt to mask. Or 2 or 3. I think those are all too big. So I'm wetting my brush and I'm just going to go over them. So I'll try and make a suggestion of a mast. That still looks way too thick, doesn't it? So I might have to come back in and do something about that. I'm using French ultramarine and raw umber. I don't have any black, and so I get as close as I can. There's really not much that's black in nature anyway, but I do want a fence around the edge of this lake. Around the edge of this path. I'm doing this straight out of my head. I don't have a photograph or anything to work on, and I think as they get closer to me, they're going to appear wider. I don't think that's too bad. I've got paint on the canvas anyway, haven't I? So I'll just keep picking away at it until I get where I want to be. I've added a little yellow to my sap green with a little ultramarine in it, and I'm going to just add in some brighter greens to my tree, and add a little titanium, lighten it up, and put in some light green here. I think I'll put in some darks here. I might put in a little green on this side. I'm going to take a break because I need to sort of get away from my picture, stand back from it take a good look and see where I need to go next. I'm adding a couple of more little boats. One there, one here maybe. It's a case of picking away at it. That's how I paint. I'll get there eventually. I'm thinking that this tree throws a shadow, so I'm just going to put in some shadowy marks across the path here. Make it a little darker here. And I'm mixing titanium and some cad yellow and a little raw sienna, and I'm going to make my, oh that's way too yellow. And I'm going to put in some brighter brights. I brightened my yellows up a little bit. I'm not sure what this is. I think this might be green around here. I haven't made up my mind. This is the thing about painting from your imagination. You've got to have your picture resolved in your head before you can paint it, and that's a little more difficult. I'm adding touches of yellow. I'm thinking of this as a large lake. You can't see all the borders of the lake. You can see some of them. And it has a grassy edge to it in many places, and it has a fence around part of it. It's all in my head. I don't have a photograph. I might have been somewhere like this at some point in my life, but basically this is strictly my imagination. I think I'm going to reinforce the clouds a bit more. I don't think that sky is interesting enough. That's better. It doesn't take much, really. I find painting landscapes very relaxing. I'm not sure that a video of it is as interesting as painting an object. It's not so concentrated in how to brushstrokes and things like that. But I find it enjoyable. I hope you enjoy watching. I'm at that point now where I'm just picking away, reinforcing details, adding lights and darks, adjusting colours here and there, and reflections in the water, things like that. It's all about sort of picking away at it until you've got it how you want it to be. And that's subjective, really. When you're painting a path, it's all about getting the shadows, the depths of the shadows and the brightness of the lights right, the color values. And I find that the difficult part of painting. You've got to have those darks in there to show up your lights, is what it boils down to. That's my dog making himself comfortable, the noise you can hear in the background. He's very big, about 112 pounds. He's a hound dog. I want to try and make the water look a little more watery. So I'm putting in some darker blues, and I often like smooth things in with my finger. That's okay if you don't mind getting a little mucky, which I don't. I do it all the time. I'm deepening the blue of the sky. It's always darker at the top of the painting and fades off as you get down close to the horizon line. I'm going to strengthen the tree by adding darks with raw umber, ultramarine blue and sap green, and that gives me a dark shadowy mixture for the those branches closest to the trunk. I think we might put the trunk in as well. Or at least put the edge of the trunk in. You can't see the whole thing. And we'll balance it with some roots sticking out to the edge of the path. I like to build up my foliage. I usually start off with sort of a mid-tone and then dot in some darks and finish off with some lights. The last thing that I do. It's sort of building up the foliage from just a few sketch marks in the beginning. This path is a little on the wild side, so I'm scumbling along some weedy grasses along the edge, just poking up around the fence posts. I'm going to brighten my path It needs lighter lights to contrast with the darkness of the shadows that the tree throws. I might strengthen those shadows too. I'm going to put a couple of figures just down here. You don't really see that much. There's just a couple of little figures walking along. I think you'd see the odd branch. I'm just indicating with paint on my brush where those branches would be, and I will reinforce them as I go along. I did add a couple of lights and darks, but I forgot to turn on the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please leave me a like if you did and hit the subscribe button, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.